Good morning once again. First of all, I thank the management of Sage University Indore for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to talk on positive psychology interventions for excellence. I'm Dr. Subbarao. Welcome you all for today's session. So first of all, we'll see why this topic is chosen for quality assurance FDP, right? So how psychology is connected to quality, and what is the institutional development, and what is the role of quality in that, and what is individual development, and what is our role in contributing to institutional development, right? So we'll see one by one in our presentation. So why quality is required? Actually, the moment we talk of quality, we come across the other term, quantity. So here number of engineers in India is increasing and the employable candidates coming out of the colleges is becoming low. So the employability skills imparted in the colleges is low. So the skills required by the industry and the skills acquired in the engineering colleges or in other colleges there is a gap. So that gap, if we breach, then obviously we will be achieving our goal of employing our students coming out of the colleges or educational institutions. So here the quality of education brings out the quality of work at the industrial level. Let me see here the quantity and quality. So if you are increasing the quantity, then your efficiency is increasing, but we are compromising on the quality aspect, right? So we have to improve our quality also. That gives rise to the effectiveness in education, in our work, in our thought process. So here, if we see the skill supply chain, the thoughts, just wait a minute. The thoughts are leading to the research in a particular area. So whatever thoughts we have, so if they are new, then we can go for the research in that particular area, and that is adding to the knowledge in that particular science or in that particular arts or any form of education. So from that, we are taking up some elements and we are imparting education to the students. That is how we are building the skill and supplying it to the industry or to the society or to the nation. So that is how the people are forced to work with the skill supplied by the universities. So I consider universities as the skill suppliers. So the industry and the academia should have a customer and a supplier relationship, and we should have a customer focus, how quality products we are supplying to the industry or to the market, external world, or to the society and the nation. So that customer centric focus will ensure quality in each and every step, right from the thoughts, research, knowledge, education, skill, work, and life. So finally, the quality of thoughts will lead to quality of life. So whatever thoughts we have, that will be realized into reality, and then it will convert into work and life. So there is a work-life balance, everything that is there from the industry's perspective. Before that, we have skill, education, knowledge, research, and thoughts. So all these are concerned to the academia. So we should focus on these aspects to achieve total quality. We should have the quality at each and every step. So that is what the total quality management concepts say. Each process should be divided into sub processes and sub processes, and each process should have enough quality to ensure total quality. That is what total quality management is about. So both the industry and academia are linked through skill supply chain in my perspective. So obviously we should have quality in education to have quality at work in the industry or in any business organizations. So that is how quality of education is at most important. for ensuring quality of work, quality of products, and we have Make in India programs. The quality of products in the entire world from India should be high, then only people will buy, right? So the quality of education will lead to quality of products manufactured, quality of quality of work in business environment. So that is how the quality of education is supplying to the total quality of skill supply chain, right? So at each and every point, there is a scope of improvement. If we see the quality of thoughts, we can improve further. Every day we can have certain amount of improvement in each and everything. In research also, there is a huge scope of improvement, and even knowledge, education, everywhere we have a scope of improvement in day-to-day basis. Okay. So let us aim to go for some improvements after this session. Who is responsible for our quality of thoughts? Because our quality of thoughts are turning it into quality of education, and then turning it into quality of work and quality of output, productivity, etc. So the quality of thoughts in education, especially from the faculty, the quality of the thoughts of the faculty will dictate the quality of thoughts in the students, and then the workman or the employees in the industry. That is how the quality chain builds up. So the quality starts from the education itself. So being the supplier, we should feel that the individual's behavior is is building the sub-society's culture. Actually, the individual's behavior, the integral of individual behavior is the culture of a particular team. Culture of so many teams will build the culture of a society, then the nation. That is how the culture is defined. So culture has an effect on people's behavior, as well as the integration of people's behavior is culture. So it is a vice versa concept we can bring in. So many people say in our culture, the quality is not given enough importance. So the culture has some effect on our own behavior to compromise on quality, to compromise on safety, or to compromise on certain things, right? So to compromise on effectiveness, to compromise on efficiency. So we have certain cultural background which is affecting us, right? So our own behavior is affected by the culture, and integration of our all people's behavior is culture. So we have a contribution in that. So if we change an individual's behavior, at least by this program, so at least we have done something positive, something value addition to a particular individual, then it will ultimately result in the education or in the society's culture, right? So quality is a culture, let us say. So feel the responsibility. So we should all feel responsible for for enhancing the quality or enhancing the culture of quality. Inculcate the culture of quality in education, in any process, whatever process you do. In thoughts also, we should inculcate a culture of quality. So we should start building up high quality thoughts, right? So that is our own responsibility. So once you feel responsible for any particular thing, then we'll fulfill the responsibility automatically. So people normally blame the culture, blame the society, blame the educational institution, blame the organization for their own faults. Okay, so we should understand that there is a scope of improvement in each and every aspect, right from the quality of thoughts to quality of life. So we are only responsible for our own future, for our own quality of thoughts and life. So once we feel that responsibility, then automatically we'll discharge our responsibilities. What is positive psychology and how it is related to quality of life? So quality of thoughts and quality of life and quality of education, everything I have already discussed. Now we'll see what is the role of positive psychology in quality of life. So actually earlier in traditional psychology techniques, there used to be stress management techniques and burnout and other mental illnesses, mental disorders. Those were treated in the traditional psychological counseling programs. Okay. So, but after 1998, positive psychology has come in picture. So we are going for proactive approach. So we are inculcating positive thoughts in our mind. Quality of thoughts can be improved through positive thoughts, right? So we'll see what is the difference between positive psychology and traditional psychology. Happiness, well-being are the new buzzwords in positive psychology. So positive psychology talks about the positive terms like happiness, well-being, wellness programs, heartfulness, mindfulness. All these are the positive psychology programs, interventions. Stress, depression, burnout, mental illness, all these are the negative side of psychology, we can say. Those were the traditional psychological practices being followed in psychology, right? So it is like the difference between vaccination and medicine. So we are preventing corona by taking vaccinations, right? So we are not going to that negative aspect of being positive in corona, right? So happiness and well-being are the positive terms. They are the boosters for our positive thoughts. So it is like a vaccination. Stress management, depression, all these are traditional psychological counseling programs, which are like medicine for cure. After getting the disease, you are taking medicines. You are taking counseling programs, counseling sessions for getting that mental disorder cured. To reduce your stress, you are undergoing some psychological intervention, psychological counseling. That is the traditional technique. So we are avoiding such a situation by being positive always, by creating positive vibes in and around us, by going for happiness programs, well-being, meditation, yoga. There are n number of techniques to be positive always, right? So are you ready to be positive? Right? Now let us see. Prevention is better than cure, right? So unnecessarily, why to get stressed, why to undergo depression, burnout and mental illness and go for a psychologist for counseling. So we should better avoid that. Prevention is better than cure. So we should always be happy, well, we should be well, and we should ensure our well-being, right? So let us see how to do that. And this positive psychology builds our mental immunity. In corona situation, many people were talking about immunity boosters, right? So this is one kind of an immunity booster. Positive psychology or happiness programs or the interventions, positive psychology interventions are the mental immunity boosters. I call them as mental immunity boosters. So our mental immunity, which can handle all the stress, depression, all the negatives can be handled through your mental immunity, that can be boosted through the positive psychology interventions, which can improve our quality of life, quality of thoughts. So how quality of life is connected to quality of thoughts, we have already seen, right? Interventions versus counseling. Interventions is for positive psychology and counseling is for the traditional psychology. That's what I have already explained. Understanding the mind. So first of all, we should understand how our mind behaves. Then we can understand how we have to build our quality of thoughts. Okay. So our basic philosophy of mind says it resists the change. Suppose if you want to take up one big job, it feels, oh no, there is some risk. The first impression of the mind about any particular task is, no, we should not take up that task because it is risky. So it will always try to save you. First of all, it is a saving mechanism, right? So the mind always thinks we should not go under any stress or under any risk. So it will try to avoid. That offers a resistance for change in a particular person, right? So suppose I have been assigned a particular task, then immediately my mind says, no, 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 don't take up that task. Don't take up this lecture. Okay. That is how the first instance from the mind is that one. So it resists. Okay. So it opposes. That is how, once you just cross that barrier, then you can be very positive. That's all. That will be there for 1 minute only. Just we have to cross that hurdle. So first we should understand how our mind works. Then you can easily change your mind. You can easily master your mind. Now we'll see what is stress and how it comes to us. So I define stress as the skills. There is a gap between the skills required for achieving your goal and skills acquired. So the resources required for achieving a particular goal are certain things, but we don't have those skills or resources to achieve that particular goal. That will give you a tremendous amount of stress, right? The skills required for achieving a particular goal or doing a particular task, some skills are required, but we don't have those skills. Then it will create a certain amount of stress in us. So suppose I want to publish 3 papers per year is my target, but I don't have skills to publish those papers, or I don't have resources, proper resources to publish the papers in high quality journals. So again, I'll be under stress, right? So, or I want to give a talk on a particular topic, but I don't have communication skills. So that there is a lacuna in that. Then again, I'll be under tremendous amount of stress. How to reduce that? You have to compromise on your goal, reduce the set point to a comfortable level, or increase your skill. These are the 2 possibilities. You either you have to decrease your goal, decrease your set point, decrease your target, or increase your skills. That's all. These are the only 2 points to reduce your stress, right? So obviously the positive side of this is why to compromise on the goal? Increase your skills to match the required skills for achieving a goal. So that is positive psychology. So it is asking you to improve your skills to meet your goals in life. So obviously quality of life, happiness, well-being, everything is ensured through this. So finally it narrows down or boils down to skill development. So we have to upgrade our skills continuously to ensure quality in each and every aspect of life, right? But it is not so easy to change a person, right? So I have just told we should increase our skills or whatever, we have to increase our quality, but it is not very easy to change a person. Even if we can see, we will be asking the students to concentrate. We'll be asking our children to concentrate on reading or writing or whatever. Okay. But nobody teaches us how to concentrate. Then how will they concentrate? Okay. So even we don't know how to concentrate, then how can we teach? So whatever we teach, we should set an example to the students, to the children, because they'll be seeing us as a hero, right? From us only, they will be taking all, even in the industry also, all our juniors will be taking the inspiration from us. So again, we are responsible. So feel that responsibility of giving inspiration to the young generation. So knowingly or unknowingly, you are having an effect on other people's behavior, right? So we should feel responsible about that. But saying so, we cannot change the person, right? So we can lead a horse to water, but can't make it drink. But let us try to make it drink through this session. How will we do? Let us see. How to change the behavior of a person. Suppose students are there or your co-professors are there, or anybody, if you want to change their behavior into a positive behavior, let us see how to do that. We can change our own behavior in 21 days. So habit formation normally takes 21 days. Suppose if I want to do meditation, so it takes me 21 days. If I do it consistently for 21 days, then it becomes a habit. Habit means automatically I'll be doing that, like doing brushing or taking a bath. All these are the habits, right? So it becomes a habit. By default, you will be doing that task. So that is how we have to program our mind. So automatically that suggestion will be there from your mind to do meditation for 1 hour, right? That is habit formation. Positive affirmations. These are the self suggestions. Actually, we are suggesting our own mind, saying that I'm happy, I'm peaceful, I'm cool always, I'm energetic. So we are just sending auto suggestions to our mind, saying that all the positive affirmations say like this: I'm peaceful, I don't indulge in any sort of discussion with anybody, okay, or I'm peaceful always, my mind is peaceful, I'm stable. So all these are the positive affirmations which we are giving it to our mind on day-to-day basis. So that is how we are training our mind. If you see this Three Idiots movie, there is a song, All is Well. All is well is the best positive affirmation we can say. And if you follow the lyrics also, so beautifully they have written. All those are filled with the positive affirmations. Once you listen to that song or read that song, that's all. The lyrics, if you see, then it is full of positive affirmations. It brings you energy. It motivates you, and it is a mental immunity booster, I can say. Okay, so there are n number of songs you can find out in literature or in any form you can take up. Positive affirmations will have an impact on your mind. So we can focus also. So my mind is focused. I have a full control on my mind. That is another positive affirmation, right? So that is how you will be giving auto suggestions to mind. And after 21 days, it has a habit of positive thinking. That is how you are training your mind, right? So again, I already told you this skills required and skills acquired. The gap is stress. So how to bridge that skills and how to set a realistic goal that is based on the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There is a separate program in this FDP only exclusively on SWOT analysis. So I'll be leaving that. But try to remember, normally SWOT analysis is being taught for applied to an organization, applied to an educational institution or whatever. But we should apply it to an individual. So that is my humble request to all of you. Try to implement this SWOT analysis to individual, to our own. We should identify our own strengths, our own weaknesses. So we should self-analyze and we should understand ourselves first. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And what are the opportunities with my skills in the market? And what are the threats in the market or in the research arena or in the educational sector or whatever? So we should find opportunities and threats based on our strengths and weaknesses. We should find out opportunities and threats. And I have a separate video on this in my YouTube channel. You can watch them later. So I come with a philosophy of strengthen the strengths to weaken the weaknesses. Once you identify your strengths and weaknesses, try to focus more on your strengths so that you don't find any time to concentrate on your weaknesses. Weaknesses will give you negative vibes. Your strengths will give you positive vibes and they are the immunity boosters. So we should focus more on our strengths. and try to strengthen them more and more and more, so that you will be a positive person always. So this is one best technique I normally follow. I should strengthen my strengths to weaken my weaknesses. Once you are strengthening your strengths, then automatically your weaknesses will be weakened, because there will not be any time to focus on your weaknesses, right? So those will come down automatically, because you are training your mind to concentrate on your strengths. So those will be strengthened further and further. Yoga and exercises. People go for yoga and exercises because it increases your oxygen intake and increases the quality of thoughts, right? So the more oxygen, of course, will help you in brain development also. So that is how positive vibes will be created through yoga and exercises also. But unfortunately, many people fix up a particular time. This and 7 to 8, I should do yoga. Suppose if they deviate from that schedule, they feel again stressed. You're doing yoga, exercises, or meditation, whatever it is, for a positive vibe or to reduce your stress, to reduce your negatives. Please keep it in mind that itself should not cause a negative vibe in yourself. So deviating from the schedule, I have missed my yoga today. So time 7 o'clock is there already, but I'm talking to a friend. So that again should not cause a stress in your mind, right? So make it very flexible, feel happy, whatever you do, be happy with that, with full of mindfulness. That is again eating habits. What we sow is what we reap. Here we say there are tamas, rajas and sattvic. So sattvic food you are eating, then it will build sattvic thoughts. Rajas, tamas foods you are eating, then it will build those kind of thoughts in your brain. So whatever you feed, that only will result in your quality of thoughts. That only will result in your quality of works, quality of tasks you do. So that is how everything is interrelated. So in quality, we say input, process and output. So everywhere we should have quality, then only that is total quality management, right? So eating, so it is the input. So which kind of input you are giving, the same kind of output only it will come. So quality food you are eating means quality of thoughts, quality of output, right? So that is how eating habits are also very important in changing your behavior towards positive psychology. Now we should have emotional, social and spiritual intelligence. What is that? You please try to explore through the meditation techniques and some spiritual practices, right? So emotional intelligence, social intelligence and spiritual intelligence. Social intelligence is very much required when you are working with a group of people from different backgrounds, that is cross-functional team or interdisciplinary projects which you are taking up within your university. So how much social you are with the other departments. So this is another lacuna which normally I find, and my research was on that particular area only, interdisciplinarity in engineering education, how it is getting reflected in cross-functional performance in the industry. So there is a clear-cut correlation how we are behaving in the education scenario, in the academia, the same will get reflected there in the industry also. Suppose if I don't want to talk, I'm from mathematics department, I don't want to talk to the physics department, or I don't want to talk to the engineering department, or engineering, electrical engineering people, they don't want to talk to the mechanical engineering people. So actually the motor is from electrical background and pump is from the mechanical thing. So both are connected together, but they normally say this is the pump problem, mechanical will solve this problem. This is the electrical problem, these people will solve, electrical people will solve this problem. That is how even an interconnected equipment will lead to certain problems. So all these problems arise from the interdisciplinarity aspects, how the interdisciplinary communication and collaboration is there in the institute, educational institute, will get reflected there in the minds of students, and they think I'm an electrical graduate, I should not speak to the mechanical guy, so I'm superior to mechanical people. Like that's that type of mentality. What we call is I have coined this term as cross-functional ego. Okay, it is called functional ego. Okay, so cross-functional performance should reduce the functional ego. So there is a kind of ego developed over a period that I'm an electrical fellow. So that kind of attitude we can normally see either in the colleges or in the industries as well. So social intelligence in that particular aspect is very important, because the innovation comes from interdisciplinarity. So if you are not open to the remaining people's ideas, so how will get innovation, right? So collaboration will lead to innovation, right? Collaborative thoughts and interdisciplinarity in research. Interdisciplinary research also is very less in India, and there are a number of reports saying that interdisciplinarity should be ensured. So there should not be any barrier between any department. So interdepartmental cooperation and communication, coordination, everything should be intact. Then that will give rise to a better quality management in an institution as well as in the organizations. So and we should be emotionally strong. So there are a number of emotions, positive, negative. In all the emotions, we should have sthita pragnata. That is what we have been told in Bhagavad Gita. So we should be always having a stable mind, even in the adverse situations or in the very high positive situations also. So we should have a stable mind. That is emotional intelligence. And spiritual intelligence obviously is on the top, and we should identify our soul and body and how we are behaving in a particular, and we should respect all the other souls also. So all the other designations and all are just like the clothes we are wearing, right? So that is spiritual intelligence in one shot. Meditation is nothing but being aware of our own self. So awareness will come from mindfulness. If you are concentrating on a particular aspect, then you will be aware of that particular situation or particular task or particular sense or particular atmosphere, right? So you are feeling that is awareness. So meditation, obviously this mindfulness meditation technique talks about, I have already told you to take 10 breaths in the beginning. So if you are concentrating on your breath and your mind is getting diverted, you are bringing it back consciously, then that is meditation, not forcibly. Okay. So why not forcibly? Because if you are giving a command to your mind forcibly, then it will automatically object. No. Okay, it won't follow your instructions. Mind is not a slave, right? So we should respect the nature of our mind. So we should just fool our mind as per this All Is Well song. Usme hai. You carefully listen to that song. It will teach you how to master your mind, right? Now we'll see bird's eye view. The moment we say about concentration, we think of Arjuna aiming at bird's eye, right? So he was asked to aim the bird, but he was directly aiming the bird's eye. Now I add something to this story. Suppose if a tiger comes from his behind and eats him, then so we should concentrate on a particular thing and we should see what is happening in and around. So that is the skill required in the 21st century, right? In age-old days, that was okay. And other people were there to protect him, let us say, right? So he was peacefully concentrating on a bird's eye. But here people can attack from behind also. So we should be very careful watching 360 degrees around us, as well as we should be in a position to aim at the bird's eye. So I've changed the understanding about concentration. That is mindfulness, being aware of our own thoughts. We should observe our thoughts, just like sitting at the bank of the river and watching the waves. Okay, we should get detached from our mind and observe our mind as a third person. That is what is mindfulness, and we should start observing that. Then you will be automatically mastering your mind, and it will try to listen to your commands. So that is how we can achieve concentration and focus through the meditation technique. That is how we can master our mind. It will automatically give you the holistic view, because you are getting detached and you are seeing yourself as a meditator, right? So it opens up your viewpoint to a holistic view, from macro to micro and micro to macro as well. So I say our mind should be like the lens of a camera, which can be zoomed to see the bird's eye clearly. So we are zooming our mind to concentrate on the particular bird's eye, and we are unzooming it to see the bird's eye view. Bird's eye view is the top view, that is eagle's view from the sky. So we will be seeing everything from the top view, 360 degrees, and we should be pinpointedly seeing the bird's eye, the eye of the bird. Also, we should be able to see. That is how bird's eye view should be explained in 21st century. Normally, people say bird's eye view means it is the eagle's view, top view in business terms. But I say we should be having both skills, to concentrate on a particular thing and unzoom to see the overall picture. That is holistic view. So that is how we should master our mind. Depending on the situations, we should have both the skills. So what I say is, be the jack of all trades and master of one. There is an age-old proverb saying master of none. Okay, I have just changed it to master of one. We should know everything about something and something about everything. That is the crux of the story, right, of mastering mind. So we should concentrate on a particular thing, and we should know something about everything and everything about something. Then only you will be having a quality of thought and quality of life, right? And we have the power, we should have the power of turning inward and outward, like the front and rear cameras of the mobile phone. So I have already told you, we should first analyze ourselves, self-analysis. So in SWOT analysis also, we have strengths, weaknesses. So we should know our strengths and weaknesses. We should know strengths and weaknesses of the opposition, opposite team, or the competitor in business scenario, or the top ranker in the college, or the top professor in the academia, in the research field. Okay, so what are his strengths and weaknesses? What are my strengths and weaknesses? Or what is the opportunity for me, for them? So opportunities and threats are also external to you. So we should turn inward and outward also. For turning inward, this meditation technique will help you a lot. So we'll be observing ourselves, our own thoughts. So you will easily catch up your own strengths and weaknesses. You can easily catch those things, and you can analyze yourself better with these techniques, right? So again, so how to do this, sir? I don't know how to do meditation and all. It is very simple. Just sit and concentrate on your breathing, or concentrate on your senses. So how you are feeling, just feel that. That will automatically lead to a meditative state afterwards. Okay, so don't get stressed. I'm not getting this meditative state of mind. Okay, we should not get stressed about that. Okay, just sit and comfortably relax. Then automatically it will lead to the meditative state of mind, which will open up your holistic view and bird's eye view. So I say now we can make the horse drink if we know how to tame it. So here we can tame our mind, and we can give the commands to that, and it will work like a slave. You see here in the first picture, that person, with that person supervising it, it is drinking water. In the second one, it is drinking on its own. Nobody is supervising. So integrity. Integrity means without supervision, how you are behaving. So it has become its own behavior. It has inculcated to drink water now. So, and it has inspired 3 other horses to drink water. Okay. So with our change in behavior, we can inspire other people also. And they'll also come to the quality aspects, quality thoughts, and the quality of life. So by seeing us, they get inspired and they automatically come with you voluntarily. Voluntarily, they are coming, right? In the previous slides, we have already seen how forcibly he was taking the horse and it was not drinking. So just by mastering your mind, you can make whatever you want with the horse, right? Now we'll apply the quality aspects to education, right? So how to improve the quality of education? Learning and teaching. These are the 2 important aspects for any particular teacher, right? So we say ambidexterity. Again, I go to Arjuna. So Savyasachi is ambidexterity. So we should learn and simultaneously teach, take and deliver. So both should go hand in hand, learning and teaching. So I have already learned so much and I'll be just teaching. That is not the way actually. So automatically we should learn and teach, learn and teach. That's all. It is a simply, a transfer of knowledge program, right? So that is how we should think. So here we have excellent websites by government. Swayam is one excellent initiative in which many professors post their own courses and they have credits also. What I heard in other FDPC and all in future, so a student will be given the authority to choose a particular professor for a particular course, irrespective of their institutions. So being at a particular institution, he can choose a professor for a particular course in another institution who has very good ranking in Swayam or any other thing. So those credits transfer will also be possible through new education policy. So just imagine how quality of the professors will have an impact on the institution, on the student. So finally, students are our customers. So from the educational institute perspective, we have 2 customers. One is the students and the other is the society, nation or the organization. So you are leaving it to organization, certain skills, and leaving certain skills to the student. Through the student, you are supplying skill to the nation or skill to the organizations, right? So ultimately the quality, so they will have a right to ask for quality because they are paying. So obviously they are the customers. So customer centric, we should be there. So they may ask any point of time. So improve the quality by. So I should be in a position to ask the suppliers to improve the quality. Suppose they are supplying one TV, half manufactured. Is it possible? Is it possible in today's scenario that a person from one good brand of TV, he is supplying a half manufactured TV and asking you to manufacture the remaining connections, you give and run your TV, enjoy. Are they doing that? No. They are delivering a complete product with service, with installation, everything. So ideally, educational institutions should also supply the people in such a fashion, exactly matching to the needs of the industry. Okay, that is what my research was on. Okay, so what is the problem there? From the industry perspective, they are not asking, these are my requirements, please come up with those. So there is a problem in designing the curriculum also according to the requirements of the industry, because they are not spelling out, but government has forced now to spell out what is my requirement from the industry. That's what they have already given. Suppose a software engineer, what skills are exactly required? So now the universities are being asked to design the courses to meet those skills. to impart those skills and just give it to the industry. That's all. So that is how the industrial burden on training the people or manufacturing the remained portion of TV, right, is being transferred to the educational institute itself now with the new education policy. Okay, so learning and teaching mechanisms should be very much important, and we should always Swayam has free courses also. Many people can learn. Simultaneously, we can contribute also. Our courses, suppose if they are there on Swayam, so it is a pride for me as well as for my institution. That is how we should feel. So many people think, no, I am not able to do that. Even for this FDP, on this particular topic, I have asked so many professors to give their suggestions to incorporate those suggestions in this particular presentation. But unfortunately, many people said, no, you are already an expert. You can deliver well. Congrats, best of luck. That is what the response I got, unfortunate to say. It is about education. It is about quality. So we should just self-analyze and say, come out with these problems, and these problems should be solved. That is through quality improvement programs. That is called QIP. Okay. That is the actual QIP. Reading, access to high standard journals. Again, learning is through reading, right? So if we don't have access to the high standard journals, how will we publish? Again, that is the problem. Access has certain amount of license. That is how these prestigious institutions have come up. IIMs, IITs and NITs, they have access to very high standard journals. So they are paying all the licenses. Obviously, the quality of quality of inputs to the professors, to the students, if we increase, then automatically the quality of thoughts slowly will increase in the academia. Again, it will get reflected in quality of writing, that is paper publications. And even if we see in any high standard journals, if we see, it is very heart threatening or very hardening to say that our Asians are contributing very less in very high standard journals. If we see, so very few we can find in high quality journals because of this English proficiency. They say, okay, you go for an Asian journal. Okay, if you submit to some journal from UK or anybody, then they say you submit to an Asian journal or you come with an editorial service. So again, that English proficiency, again, we have our own faculty, English faculty. Okay, they can easily get collaborated with all the researchers in the institution itself, and they can also proofread and they can contribute to all the research fraternity. This is a new area which can be easily explored by the humanities and social sciences department of any particular university, arts department, or anybody can easily communicate and collaborate with the other professors. They can join hands and easily contribute for high quality research writing, article writing, you can say. And normally they say reading and writing both should go again hand in hand, like ambidexterity. So we should read per day, we should read certain words, certain pages, and write also certain pages. So both should go hand in hand. So if we can't write a research paper, you just share your thoughts, very small thoughts in 300 words or 500 words in your blog. You can start blogging. Simply write your own thoughts in some 300 words to make it a habit. That's what I have already told you. A habit forms after a conscious effort of 21 days. So try to imbibe that quality of thought. Okay. Research. Again, in case of research, if we see there is a compromise on ethics. Actually, I have seen so many people asking for first author, second author, this much amount, third author, this much amount. Please don't go for all those things. Just concentrate on your quality. Actually, high quality journals publish it for free. Many professors I have seen, they are thinking publishing means amount or the time period. Within a month, I want to publish, because the goals are set like that. So I should publish 10 papers per year, suppose. Is it possible? Actually, we have certain number of thoughts, quality of thoughts. Okay. So we should prioritize our thoughts and our journals. Again, journals, high standard, low standard, middle standard, like that. Even our thoughts also, we should do like that. High standard thoughts, low standard, average, like that. We should rate our thoughts as well as our journals. Then only you can match that requirement. Otherwise, you will be again under stress and you will be committing a huge mistake of sending a very high standard paper to a low standard journal. That should never happen, actually, because once it is published means you cannot publish anywhere else. So we should be very careful in choosing the high standard journal for your high quality thought. You should be in a position to decide on your quality of thoughts, a quality of your paper. Let us say your thoughts will get reflected in your paper, right? So if you have a high quality paper with you and you are submitting it to a low standard journal, then it is gone. Okay. So exactly how to assess the quality of the journal, quality of the thoughts, quality of the paper, all should match. Then only you are doing it your best. Actually, it is like a story writer or director of a movie, and he has 10 thoughts with him. Okay. And there are different heroes. So the best thought should be done with the best hero. Then it will be a super hit. So it is like that. So the combinations also matter. So unnecessarily, if you are going for introducing a new hero with a good story, then it may become a super hit or not. We cannot say. Okay. So it will be a big boom if we go for a perfect match, right? So that is how this creative thoughts to be dealt with. So ethics and plagiarism and Shodhganga is an open platform which we all know, in which a thesis is there for free. And if you see, so it is again plagiarism checked and it is open to all. Anybody can see, right? So there are n number of platforms through which we can get information free of cost, and open access journals are there. But unfortunately, people are not analyzing that. Even writing a paper is one research aspect, and finding a right journal for this research paper is another aspect of research. We should be very much focused. Okay. So finding out the right journal from the list of Scopus journals is a Herculean task for a particular paper. Okay. So we have to go to each and every website, whether it is fake or not, what is the citation index, all these things. If we see, then you will come across some good journals which you can try, and you see how much time it is taking, then you can submit to that. That is how we should plan our research also, to improve the quality of research. So we should improve our leadership qualities. So because we are exposed to student fraternity, and those people will be seeing Gurudeva Bhava, so they will be thinking of learning something from you, from your behavior. So your behavior will automatically get transformed into their behavior after a few days of teaching learning process. Okay. So we should say whatever we do, we should be in a position to say. We should set examples to the next generation. So if you are following unethical practices in your research or in your teaching or whatever, so what will you teach to the next generation? They will automatically follow those bad practices. So we should follow the best practices and say the next generation follow these. That is how we should set an example, be a leader, be an inspirational leader. So interdisciplinarity will lead to innovation and entrepreneurial orientation also. So interdisciplinarity should not have any functional ego in it, right? So we should not think that, and these departmental barriers are to be crossed. So barriers to be crossed, then only you will be coming out of the functional silos, our own functional silos. That is called silo mentality, right? So I'll be not open to the new ideas coming from different departments. That is functional ego, right? So we should come out of that. So we should increase our interdisciplinarity, and we should all work as a team to increase the total quality, right? Individual quality and team quality and institutional quality. That is how you are improving yourself as well as the institution as well as the nation, right? Entrepreneurial orientation, which I have already told you, many people, many professors, they might be having wonderful ideas with them, but they are not able to market their own ideas. That's what these people are saying, no? To take up projects. Projects means, again, you have to submit a proposal, you have to market your idea, get the project, get the funding. So entrepreneurial orientation in research is a must now, in faculty is a must now. So we should be exercising these skills also and increasing our brand image. So how you are increasing your brand image? Through Swayam or through social media platforms. So your brand image is increasing means integral of individual's brand image is the institutional brand image, right? So each individual's brand image will be collectively contributing it to the institutional brand image, and so many institutions' brand image will improve the brand image of India, make in India. Okay, so that is how everything is interconnected. And finally, you are responsible for your goal, your achievements, your skills, everything. You are only responsible for yourself, right? We should not blame others, blame the institute, don't blame the institute, don't blame the nation, don't blame the policies. Just think, it is just an opportunity for improving ourselves further in the quality chain scenario. Now we'll see how to bridge the industry academia gap. Actually, as per the Kakodkar committee report, faculty should work there in the industry for 1 month. Is it possible? Are we exposed to the industry, what is happening there? Or are we exposed to the society? You are supplying to society, you are supplying to the nation, you are supplying it to the industry or organizations, business organizations. What is there in those? We should be sensitized. Then only you will be understanding the customer requirements. You will be supplying proper goods to the industry or external world, you can say. So proper collaboration and cooperation is required from both from industry and academia sides also. So industry also should extend an arm towards the educational institutions to uplift them with their support. That is what I normally recommend. And customer focus. Know your customer. What are your customers? Please try to understand. Students and remaining all the stakeholders are there with you. Try to understand their concerns, their requirements. Try to mold your thoughts towards those customer-centric thoughts. If you are developing, then automatically you are developing on quality. Institutional development will automatically take place. Now, with the advent of this information technology, we are not local anymore. So you can be a global professor. Somebody from South Africa might be learning from you. If you are capable enough, if you are branding yourself, then now there is no barrier. There is no geographical barrier. There is no language barrier. No barriers are there. All barriers are gone now. So just think, you have to increase your quality to the international level. Then you can be a professor at the global level, right? Why you are thinking about a particular thing and you are you just come out of the block, mental block. Okay, just just to open up your mind and think positively, and with the internet and all, with all the information available with this information technology, you can be a global leader, global teacher, global learner, global student. I normally say the students also the same. Now you cannot complain ki this is not properly told in this college, or you cannot blame the institute, right? Because knowledge is everywhere, it is open now. Okay, we should focus on that. That focusing itself is, we have already discussed how to focus and how to get the quality thoughts. I'm okay, it is there. So how to apply quality concepts and tools. Now we'll see. So how to improve quality of thoughts, all those things we have already seen. Quality of education, everything we have already seen. Now we'll see some of the quality concepts. What are those concepts and tools which will help you to improve your quality? First thing is 5W1H. What is that? That is what, when, where, why, how. All these questions we should be asking. I have designed my presentation intentionally using this tool only. You might have already seen in the beginning itself, I started with why and what, then how. Okay, so all these things, when, where, all these things I will be using in my presentation. So I have integrated quality in my presentation itself. This is by setting an example. Okay, I have already started using this technique. Before saying itself, I have already used, right? So this is one important technique. This is these questions are called interrogative questions. So these things will will inspire you for design thinking, critical thinking. All these things will be using this tool. Why it is so? Why this concept is being told to us? And why I should publish a paper? We should get sensitized first. What is the importance of publishing a paper? Why I have to deliver a lecture? So that is why I expect. What? So that is how, for each and every topic, if you are applying these questions, then you will be the mastering. You will be the master in that. Quality assurance and control. So again, we have processes, input, output, and in between there is a process. So at each and every juncture, you break this process into sub processes. If you are maintaining that that supply chain, and you are ensuring quality in each and every juncture, then it will result in total quality improvement. That is quality assurance. Quality assurance is nothing but you are ensuring quality through certain checks. That is audits, okay, and inspections. All these things will ensure or assure thinking, saying that yes, these things are being followed systematically in that particular institute. And there are standards like quality standard, international standard, ISO 9001. Okay, so even institutes also can go for ISO certification. Even a person individually can also go for an ISO certification. If you are following all those rules, I'm a quality person, I can declare myself. Even Indore, a quality city, it can declare, and it can go for ISO 9001 standard and certification. There is a procedure for that. So if you are following it, then you will get a certification. Okay, and quality control. Control is through monitoring, proper monitoring and control. So at each and every juncture, you have certain goals, objectives. Objectives are nothing but measurable goals. Okay, so at each and every process, sub process, we have certain goals, and those are monitored, and corrective actions are taken if some deviations are there. It is like a closed control loop. Input, process, output, and feedback is taken, and error signal is given to the process, which is the correction factor. Okay, and there is a gain in that particular feedback system. Okay, that is a closed loop control system. So in quality aspect also, in each and every process, in whatever task you do, you can monitor that way. You can apply that principle in each and every walk of life. Kaizen principle. It is very, very small tasks. A big task can be broken into small tasks. If you start with a small task, then your mind will cooperate. Suppose if one Herculean task is there in front of you, your mind says, no, Baba, don't go for that. Okay, so you break it into very, very small things. A big problem can be broken into very, very small problems, and those small problems can easily be handled day by day. Okay, that is Kaizen principle. Small. So improvement comes from small chunks. Small jobs put together will lead to a bigger quality. That is Kaizen principle. Okay, you can apply it to mind management also as well. So problems, a big problem cannot be handled by the mind, by you, because of resistance offered by the brain, which I have already told you. Quality circles. Suppose your institute has three problems, let us say. So a group of professors, 4 or 5 people, can form a quality circle, take up that problem, find out the solutions in a systematic way, applying quality concepts and tools. So for quality circles, there is an international forum also, national level forum also there. So here they will be teaching all the tools and techniques. I have just told some techniques only. So there are a number of techniques which can be used for solving a particular problem in a systematic way. One is brainstorming, let us say. So the problem is there. What are the probable solutions? Come on, each and everyone, please tell. With the open mind, they will be telling. So you will be noting, one person in the team will be noting down all the probable solutions, and then a proper decision may be taken with all the people's consent. So all people will be contributing together, and it can be a cross-functional or interdisciplinary team also. So interdisciplinary team will have diverse perspectives, diverse inputs, so that a creative solution can be achieved through a cross-functional or interdisciplinary team. So cross-functional quality circles are also there, and they are very effective in solving day-to-day problems. Small problems can be given by the management, or they can also identify their own problems and solve them in a systematic fashion or systematic way. Okay, now we'll go for 5S concept. Let us say you have so many files in your laptop or in your PC, or physical form also. You have so many files and books also. Suppose you want to refer to a particular document, then it will be a chaos for you. For that, we should be very systematic, and we'll be using this 5S concept. It basically says everything should have its own place, and we should always make everything clean. Housekeeping, everything will be included in this. We'll see what are these 5 S's. 1S, that is SAIRI, that is sort out different documents related to research, separate it out. Documents related to writing, you are writing a paper, that particular paper should be on a particular folder in physical form or in the soft form. Okay, so that is how you are segregating, sorting out. Then set it in order, that is set on. Okay, this is a Japanese term, and most of the quality concepts are borrowed from Japanese. Okay, so they are the masters of these principles. Kaizen principle is also from Japan. So all those are hired from Japanese. So set in order. So we are setting them in order like in the library. So every book has an index, and it is properly set so that we can easily pick up, right? Otherwise, it will be a mess. Shine. Then proper cleaning. So everything should be clean, and all the titles should be legible and viewable, right? Standardize. So you have started this one, followed for 1 month, then left, or followed for 2 days, then left. It should not be like that. It should be a standard process. So even if you leave that department, somebody else should follow that. that is standardization. It has become a standardized procedure. Okay, that is how you should internalize the processes, internalize the procedures into the systems. So it becomes a practice for other people also to put it in order, to clean it properly, to sort all the objects and put it in order. So that is how you are standardizing. Then sustain. You have just standardized, but it should be on sustainable basis. So it should continue forever. Okay, it should not stop. That is the 5th S. So this 5S concept is very much popular in throughout the world, and we in India, in many organizations also, we are following this. Okay, so it is a very simple concept. You can use it at home also, even in kitchen also. Very organizedly, some people keep knowingly or unknowingly about this concept. So if you are knowingly doing it in a systematic fashion, it will yield much better results. Now we'll go for another concept, that is PDCA cycle. Whatever problem is there or whatever task is given to you, we can use this tool, that is plan. We'll be planning according to our resources, what target we can achieve and what are our resources. Everything is properly planned, and then we should do that work and check whether you are reaching your target or not. Where are the difficulties? It is like input, process and output and feedback mechanism, which I have already told you in the control loop. So you are checking whether you are reaching or whether there is any error, whether there is error is a negative term, whether there is a scope for improvement, that is the positive term. Okay, there is no failure. Okay, there is no term called failure in positive psychology. There is a scope for improvement. So here also there is a scope for improvement. So improve that, act on that particular scope, bridge that gap, try to improve yourself. So where we can apply all these concepts. Now I am coming to where. Already how, when, what, all those things have gone. Okay, we can apply the quality of thoughts, concepts in each and every walk of life, which I have already told you. Even in kitchen also you can use 5S concept. Even Kaizen principle also. Suppose if you want to shift the luggage from one place to one room to another room, so one by one you will be doing, right? So that is broken into subtasks. And the entire luggage you cannot shift on one go. So it is like that only. Same thing you can do. Right. Well, suppose if you want to write a research paper, you are not able to do because your mind says no. It is a Herculean task. So just start writing one line, one page per day, one line per day, one paragraph per day. Then your mind will say, okay, one line only na, I'll write. So one line put together for 1 week, 1 month consistently, or 1 year. If you calculate, then it will automatically become a research paper. So that is Kaizen principle. So please try to break it into small chunks and you can easily do that. For self and organizational or institutional development. For self-development, we have already seen how we are doing and how that integral of this self-development will lead to institutional development. We have already seen that also. So the individual development, integral of that will give institutional development. That's all. It is very simple. So do we really require any conducive atmosphere to do all these things, to do meditation, to do yoga? People say, yes, then we should have one particular fixed room, in that only you should do. So what I say is, we should be like a lotus from mud. From mud only it is budding, right? So we should not blame about the surroundings. Once you are in the true meditative state, remaining things will automatically be conducive. Okay, so that is what the spiritual intelligence or high emotional intelligence talks about. So we should not get carried away by the surroundings. That much mastery we should have on our mind. Okay, but it is not possible. So that's why they say conducive environment will have an impact on your mind. It creates positive vibes. That's why they say. But many people complain, I don't have time, or I don't have a peaceful atmosphere. There will be some disturbance from this person, that person while meditation, while doing meditation and all. No, it is not accepted, right? So we should prepare for this. There will be mud, you should grow. We should not blame on the environment. That's what I already told you. So nothing should force us. Okay, we should be in a position to command everything. That is how we should master our mind. Because mind always says for looks for excuses. It always searches. Some disturbance aa gaya, then band, close the meditation or close writing the paper. Just it will be searching for the deviations, distractions. Immediately it will get attracted because it doesn't want to do this risk. Okay, this particular risk of writing, risk of doing a particular task, risk of doing a meditation, it feels like it is a risky one. Other than your normal habits, whatever you try to do, mind will start opposing it. Okay, please remember this. Please try to understand. From your routine practices, whichever you want to do something extra, mind will automatically oppose that. We should just cross that barrier consciously. Okay, at every stage of supply chain for total quality management, we can apply all these things. All these principles can be applied at individual level, organizational level, or institutional level, at the society level, national level, and international level also. Input, process, and output. This concept I already told you. We can add a feedback and take the input for corrections. Normally, one more important thing is in FDPs also, people are very much interested to fill the feedback forms. Feedback form should ideally be not for getting the certificate. It is for giving a positive feedback for continual improvement. So the organizers should take a feedback from the people for the improvement of the next the improvement in the next program. Okay, that is how they will be learning. For that only constructive feedbacks are required. But unfortunately, here we are using it for attending and attendance and other purposes, right? Actually, feedback should be taken for improvement in the process. So the error signal should go to the process. That error we should be in a position to analyze. That is what the feedback mechanism is. But unfortunately, it is not so. Even in the organizations also, we have feedback mechanisms, but normally people respond with a different intention. They don't understand the importance of feedback. Please try to understand from this session at least. If feedback form is just you are giving your input to the organizers for improving the performance, improving the quality, okay, from your side. That is feedback. Okay, from that they will take corrective actions in the future. That is what improvement of the process is. Improvement of quality in a particular process from the feedback mechanism is all about. Now we'll see. We all know about Newton's apple story, right? One day Newton was sitting under an apple tree, and an apple has fallen. He has found that gravitational pull theory out of it. But what is the new learning from this? Actually, by knowingly or unknowingly, he has followed the principle of Nishkama Karma. That is without Phalapeksha. Phala is fruit. Apple is a fruit. So he was not looking at the apple. He was looking at the process. How it has fallen. Why it has not gone up. Why it has fallen down only. He was critically analyzing the process, not the fruit. That is the result. So Nishkama Karma means without thinking of the results, fruits. We should concentrate on our work. That is the process. Okay. That is told in Bhagavad Gita by Lord Sri Krishna. So without knowing that, he has already applied that principle, Newton, and he has invented that gravitational pull theory. Right. But we have been told several times by so many people about Nishkam Karma, don't have Phalapeksha, all these things, but we don't follow. But knowingly or unknowingly, he has followed that. Mostly unknowingly only, because he might not be knowing about Nishkam Karma or Phalapeksha, what is this? He might not be knowing, but you all people know. At least by now also, again, you know. Please try to understand, if you are focusing more on your results, then ultimately it will lead to stress. So your focus is through meditation, right? Your focus should be on improvement of the process, improvement of the skills, that is inputs or process. These two are only on your in your hand. The third, result, to some extent it is dependent on this. Suppose 90% is dependent on this and something is left to God. Okay, we can control the controllables only, which are in your hand only. Some bit of luck or some bit of previous karmas, all those things I don't want to discuss. With that, some percentage may go against you. Okay, we should be prepared for that. That's why we should never think of the results. We should concentrate on the inputs. We should concentrate on the process. Okay, that is Nishkam Karma. Apple, fruit and result. I have just brought the analogy. Apple is a fruit, of course, that is your result, and falling, it is falling, that process. So he has concentrated on the process, not on the apple. Had we been there, we would have thought, this apple is very good. Actually, though from that tree, that apple should have fallen, and it is very tasty, it looks nice. That is how we will be focusing more on the apple, that is on the result. Or just sitting below the tree, we'll be waiting, when will this apple come down, then I'll eat. So we are much focused on the result, not on the process. So that's why we are not able to invent. So we should follow this Nishkam Karma principle to invent more and more things. When can we do meditation? Many people have a doubt, right? 24/7 we should be in the meditative state. It is very surprising to see you are training your mind, you are trying to control your mind. Mind should be there, no? Already we have brain, means it should be under our control only. It is going here and there, means consciously we should be in a position to control it. So it should be a slave for us 24/7, ideally. Quality of life is through quality of thoughts, quality of sleep also. Okay, having a good sleep is a must for quality of health. Quality of your health is determined by the quality of sleep and quality of thoughts also. So there is no fixed time, because if you fix a time, then it may cause stress. It should not be like that, right? So please remove all those myths. Just feel free to sit idle and just think and start focusing on a particular thing. Make it flexible. Break it into small chunks, which I already told you. If you want to do 1 hour meditation, then your mind will say no. Okay, 1 minute meditation. Yes, now also people will be ready to do that. If it is a 1 minute meditation, you can see in YouTube, it is there. 1 minute meditation also is possible. It is there. 1 second meditation, just a blink of eye will be a meditation again. So everything is meditation. You just remove all your myths. Just be positive about that. You will automatically achieve the meditative state. Now I conclude by saying a proactive culture of quality in education can only be built and continually improved. What is this continually improved? Continual improvement versus continuous improvement. This I have already forgot to tell you. Continuous improvement means it is a linear curve. Okay, so with the time you will automatically produce some results, but continual improvement means stepwise. Suppose I have achieved 70% marks this year, I'll continue to do so for 2-3 years, and then I'll raise it to 75, then continue it for 2-3 hours, then raise it to the next level, that is 80, like that. Stepwise you are going. So you are achieving the next level and sustain for certain days or certain years or certain period of time, and then improve. That is called continual improvement, which is very, very important in quality. Okay, total quality management. This is a very important concept of continual improvement. This word is coined in quality education itself, right? So continually improved through an inclusive, integrative, holistic approach. So we should include all people's ideas open-heartedly for enhancing our education quality, right? As the culture building and change in culture. We cannot build the culture on our own, and we cannot change the culture also. And both are neither top down, that is driven from the top. That is, suppose if your vice chancellor or the prime minister of India has certain views, certain mission for your institution or for the nation, let us say. So it should not be only top down. From top, of course, the policies, all these things come from top to bottom, but it should be bottom up also. You should be contributing for enhancing the quality of in education. So both ways it should be there. That's why I call it is a participative and inclusive type of nature with contributions of all the citizens. It can be only possible if we all contribute together, because integral of individual behavior is the culture of a society or organization or institute. Let us be the catalyst for change. So we should act like a catalyst in this change process. Okay. Thank you very much. And I'm open for any question and answers. And these are my contact details, my mail ID, mobile, and I have a blog in which I have already I share my small thoughts. Okay, you can visit that, and you can contact me anytime. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful knowledge sharing. Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful and knowledge sharing session.
I also thank the management of Sage University again for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to share my small thoughts on this particular topic, positive psychology, and I wish you all the best and bright. Thank you.
Hopefully all the participants will be benefited by your session. Really, it was wonderful. Over to you, Nupurma. Yeah, queries are welcome. If participants, if you are having any query, please, you are most welcome. Before any question from any participants, sir, I have one query in my mind. Shall I? Sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, high performance work team is very essential, and it plays a vital role for the development of the institute and to achieve excellence. In
yes.
But in present scenario, competitions are going on. All work by leg pulling. They just surpass others instead of proving oneself. So being a leader, how one can change the psychology of persons so that they can work in collaborative way. It's being a leader, it's very difficult to work to be done by itself. No, it should be
collaborative. Yeah,
it should be in a collaborative way. So how can we change the psychology?
Actually, it is already in place in business, ma'am. Already many small industries are collaborating and contributing to each other's success. It is a win-win situation for both the collaborators. So that is how there are mergers and acquisitions and simultaneously collaborations in the business scenario also. And for ideas also they collaborate, for innovation they collaborate. But unfortunately in a education scenario, in academia, there are certain problems like ego, which I have already told you. That barrier, if you are coming across, then it will be a win-win situation for both the people who are collaborating together. That is one point. Second thing is, you have rightly pointed out, there is an enough competition, and how people will collaborate. They have to cooperate, then only the collaboration will come. But competition is there among these two people, between these two people only. So for that, there is enough research is being done on cooptation. That is cooperation and competition. Both are clubbed together. There is a new concept called cooptation. In that, researches are being done on business cases, and some cases are there in which both are going hand in hand. So people are coming out with new solutions for this particular problem. Yeah, both should have a positive mind, then only they can collaborate. So actually we have I have given one video in my YouTube channel. In that it is I have clearly explained that we should cooperate other people in reaching their goals also. Okay, that is on humanitarian grounds. Suppose if you are going on road, somebody has fallen, you will just lift him up, no? So that humanitarian aspect is this one only. Same, we should not feel on road he is my competitor, right? So they are also traveling, you are also traveling on a particular road, and somebody falls suddenly, then we are lifting up, no? So it is also, that is cooperation. So it is also similar. It is just our perspective, our mindset, our thought process that should be changed towards positivity. That's all. That's what
we have seen the example during the Olympic game, no? Sharing of gold medal is the latest example for all of us.
Yeah, even a hockey team also, the winning team was saying, okay, it's okay. Okay, our Indian team was consoled by the winning team, right? So it is so. It is about humanity basically.
Yes, sir.
Not
Thank
the
you so much,
competition.
sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, sir. You answered really very well, and quoting the example of Olympics really brought us the feeling of a unity. So, are there any questions? Participants can raise hand.
Ma'am, I'm having one question.
Sure, ma'am. Proceed.
So wonderful session was there, sir, and I have a query. Since we are working in current scenario, and the scenario has been inclined towards the corporate sector, so there are certain things which are time bounded. How can I ensure that my team will work the activity on time and with the quality? How can I ensure?
Yeah, yes.
Being a leader.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Actually, there are two terms. One is efficiency and one is effectiveness. Okay. So let us give one example. Suppose tomorrow there is a mathematics exam. I'm a wonderful student. I can deliver 100%. But unfortunately, I'm studying physics on that particular day. Okay. And I can give my 100%. So I have already studied everything, but my direction is not proper. Okay. So that is entirely a waste of time. Okay. That is called rework cost in industry. Suppose if you are doing a mistake in a particular process, again, it has to be reworked. So there is a wastage of time and resources. Okay. So I have put more and more efforts to learn physics, but unfortunately there is a mathematics exam. So my efficiency is 100%. Whatever input is there, I can deliver the output. That is efficiency wise, I am 100%. But the direction is not proper. So that will kill the time, right? So the leader's importance is to show the direction with proper mission, proper objectives, whether our people are following in the right direction or not, that has to be ensured. So not only the efficiency, but also the effectiveness is to be ensured at the individual level and at the organizational or institutional level. Yes, ma'am. That is how we can solve the problem of time constraint or resource misutilization. Or yes, resources are always scarce: man, machine, material, money, and time. These are the 5 resources with which whatever task is assigned, we will be able to do. So if you are very much effective in handling these resources, then obviously our output will be an excellent one. Yeah.
Thank
We
you,
should
sir.
not waste any of the resources.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Over to you.
Thank you so much, Professor Sonal Tripathi and Dr. Rao. There is a query in chat box regarding feedback link. Dr. Mohanty, the feedback link will be provided at the end of the FDP, like the last day of the FDP. So there is no particular link for each day. And I hope I have cleared your query. Dr. Rao, I had one question from you.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
to ensure that the one has reached the quality mark of their performance, like in oneself, not in comparison to others. Like if I am just
Yeah, exactly.
concluding
Exactly.
with
We should set our own goals.
yes,
Ideally, we should set our realistic goals, okay, which are
yes,
achievable.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So once you are you have set one goal and you have achieved this, try to increase the set point. Try to increase it further. Slightly stretch your goals so that continual improvement is ensured. Okay. So it should not stress our mind. You just stretch the goals little higher so that your mind accepts that change. Okay, you will be ready to go for that goal. But we should not be so complacent at the same time. Actually, there is a term called positive stress and negative stress. I have already told you the gap between the target and the achievement. That will give you the stress. Okay. So if the gap is much more, then it is the negative stress. If the gap is very less, it is positive. So it is the motivation factor. So you have a certain goal, means you have a particular direction. So the effectiveness and efficiency will be enhanced if you set proper goals. Goal setting itself is a wonderful topic, and we should always set realistic and achievable goals. Okay, and slight increase in the goal setting will enhance our quality, will enhance our skills in a positive direction. That is, it will cause a positive stress, which is a motivation for working. Otherwise, we will be complacent, we will be satisfied. Okay, whatever goals you have already set a low target, you are easily achieving it, then there is no challenge in life, right? So certain amount of challenge should always be there to drive you towards your goal. Yeah, but
Yes,
it should
sir.
not be so big to cause stress. Yes.
Yes, sir, it happens sometimes. Sometimes we feel very achieved and impeccable, but sometimes we feel very sturdy and stumbling. So it
Yeah.
happens. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
thank you so
that
much,
goal
sir.
setting
It
should be
was
so flexible depending on your state of mind and
yes,
depending on the resources. We should decrease our goals. Okay, depending on the availability of your skills and resources. If the resources you first should focus on increasing your resources or increasing your skills. If it is not possible, then slightly reduce or compromise your goal so that it will always be in the positive stress zone only. Earlier, my research was on that only, to identify there is a break-even stress point. Okay, where to what extent you can stretch that positive stress limit. Okay, after that it will go to negative state, depression, stress, all those things will come. So we have to slowly decrease, and it varies with all the people, person to person, right?
yes,
So we should understand our own mind, then you can increase and decrease we should apply SWOT analysis basically. Yeah.
Yes, the things that you are quoting are similarly quoted by Sigmund Freud, a very renowned psychologist. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Any more queries from the participants? Please raise hand if you have one. Okay, so with the permission of the convener, shall we move towards the end of the session?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much everyone for joining with us and listening to Dr. Rao. Dr. Rao, you are really immensifying amazing. I was looking for the adjectives to quote you, but really it was, I'm not able to get proper adjectives. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Rao, and thank you all the participants. I hope you will join the session tomorrow with the link provided in the group and will be on time. Please make sure your presence and you can anytime ask your queries from the conveners regarding this event or regarding our experts. Thank you so much. Ma'am, should I announce for the disbursement?
Yes.
Okay, so dear all, you can disperse and respected sir, please accept all the good memories with us and thank you so much for being with us and spending your such a nice time with us.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful opportunity to talk with you all. Yeah, thank you so much. Nice meeting you. Bye.
Yes, sir. Every second was counted with you. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So may I leave, ma'am?
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Please end the session, please.
Okay.
So you can leave. After that, we'll end the session.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, yes.